Here we are again at the Titanium Hangar talking about yet another Legends figure. This is the McFans Toys or Mechanics Studio, which is a subsidiary of Fans Toys, MS-13 Detective, and this is Hound, and I think it's a great looking Hound. I'm really pleased with this guy. He's not perfect. We're going to get into all that, but before we get into all of that, let's look at the box. Here we are with the box. I haven't really picked up too much Mechanics Studio, but I guess I just don't know the difference. McFans Toys has like 7 different names. And there it is. This is a very nice looking G1 representation. And what I believe probably is the first G1 representation. Nice looking box, gets the job done. There it is. Now this Jeep mode looks good. This is a nice looking Jeep mode. It is super classic. It's interesting what they did with the transformation too. This is their own mold. This is not a knockoff because, well, there's no G1 to knock off. So they did a really good job with it, I think. And looking at this, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a comparison. So the only other one there is the Iron Factory version, which I'm not fond of because of the stylization. I really prefer more of the G1 look when it comes to, filling out a shelf of these little Legends figures. And so check it out. The Iron Factory one, it's not for me. It may be for other people. I mean, people just love the Iron Factory because it's different. I can understand getting tired of the same thing and wanting something because it's different. So if that's what you want, this probably won't be for you. Go hunt down the Iron Factory. But this one's for me. So some of the features in the car, Jeep mode. You've got the rims that are painted. It's not plastic. It's plastic, not rubber on the tires. Nice paint up here. I like the little star painted on there. That works. That gets the job done. The clear windshield. I know a lot of these have painted windshields, so that's a good thing. Coming around the back, you have this plugs in. This is an accessory versus being like mounted on or whatever. So that's an accessory, kind of like the G1. And so is the gun. And the gun, the little turret gun, has articulation to it. So that's pretty cool. It can move around, up and down. Someone could be chasing him and he can shoot at him. So that works too. And then from the top, that's pretty clean. I gotta admit, it's pretty clean. Like right here, there's some gap. You can almost see my finger moving around back there. But that's not bad considering, it's a nice looking Jeep mode. Doesn't roll quite as well as I'd like though, but I mean, I very seldom put them in the alt mode myself. I do it for fun once in a while. These actually are fun to flip around. So speaking of flipping it around, let's go ahead and flip this thing around. And the first thing I want to talk about is the ingenuity once you take all these pieces off here. The ingenuity that goes into the transformation. And one thing that they do, you use the ankle tilt to bring that out. And then you form the foot and flip it around. And that is really an intuitive way to do the foot. I thought that was interesting. So kind of the same thing here. The ankle tilt is part of the transformation. I never thought about just like adding articulation just for the transformation. I think they took the articulation and said, hey, we could use this transformation. Spread these apart. Now mine, this does pop off. That's from me. I popped it off. Probably being a little too rough. So when you fold this leg down, then you flip it around. It's kind of all one unit. So I'll show you on the other leg a little better. You fold the leg, this piece down, and the leg extends. It's a whole different. It's like it flips. Do that. It just flips like that. That is super smooth. The way they did that, I like that. Then you come around to the back. You tuck the tires in, so that cleans up very well. I'm a huge fan of McFans Toys. I mean, I think that they're a great company. There's a lot of great things going to come out of there, other than just knocking off stuff. Kind of tighten up that, and here you have the legs. and it's done. The legs are done. Working on the top piece, it's a little bit more involved, but not that much involved. So the arms are underneath, so you want to pull them out. And the funny thing is, where the arms are, is where those are going to go. So that's pretty simple. And then we're going to fold this up. And then fold this down. And then you're going to have to get the head out. Push the head up. And then flip that around so you have the head. Now we're going to work on the arms a bit. So you need to extend this down further to tuck the wheels all the way in, like it should be, now that you've got the head out. Now that the head's out, those tires tuck in a lot better, and then you just fold it all right back down. Next, you have to fold this little flap up, which was for transformation, and then fold the arms over that whole unit. And then you have to kind of just readjust all the arms to make it fit. Oh, off on camera, of course. We'll do that again. Fold this up. This flap right here needs to get folded up so that you have clearance to fold the whole arm unit around. And then you turn it a few turns to clean it up. Make sure the hands face the right way. And then you flip the whole thing backwards. And then you're pretty much done. Fold this back piece up. And that's pretty much it. That takes you from car mode to robot mode. All right, so here he is, and I think that's a nice looking figure. He's got a nice looking face, looks decent. The arm articulation is okay, but I gotta say it is hindered because of the fact the arm's hindered from the just the way of the design. I think that's gonna be an every Hound problem. I would love to see how Takara overcomes that, but for 160 bucks versus $22, I mean, I guess I can live with it. You have a swivel right here. So, you know, mine keeps falling off, and I popped it off for some reason. I don't know why, when I was messing with it. And so I've been having problems with that one since then. But anyway, leg goes out all the way, back all the way, like you would normally see. And you get the ankle rocker down here. So you can, let's get that nice wide stance. So he looks good. I mean, and he has an articulation, everything you expect. Of course, the shoulders are the worst simply because of the design, and that's just a Hound thing. So let's get him armored up. You have his arm cannon, which can plug in, it actually can plug in here, plugs in there, even though on the box it shows it plugged in on the other side. For me, I actually don't care. You've got a standard gun that comes with all of the Hounds. You also have his long range rifle. So if he wants to, you know, snipe off Decepticons from a distance, this is your guy to do it. So, looking at him all armored up, let's take a look at the back of him. And he fell down. He's kind of stable. It's just, this is a smaller one than Mechfans Toys usually does, but he still looks pretty good and feels okay. Now my negatives are this thing behind his head. Now I guess they're thinking you won't notice it so much because his head's there, but I notice it. It's just like the first thing I saw. When I pulled him out of the box, I was like, man, I wonder if there's something you can do about that. But it does go for a slightly cleaner alt mode, so it looks like they did make a couple sacrifices in the bot mode, and that's one of them, to make a better alt mode. So I'm going to do a few comparisons here. So here he is. Here is the Mechfans Toys version of Sideswipe. Here is Magic Square's version of Sideswipe. And I'm okay with Hound being a little bigger. But then here is Whiskey Jack. So this gives you kind of an idea of how the different companies scale with him. And I think that I just still think Magic Square, for the most part, and McFans toys can scale together, because let's take a look at these options here. And these look pretty interchangeable to me, if you ask. I mean, I think that they're not that far off size-wise and aesthetically wise. And then Toy World's Whiskey Jack's somewhere in the middle there. And I think Whiskey Jack's a bit small, but then again, he does look really good. So, and the only option we have right now for the Wheeljack, in my opinion. All right, so here he is next to, this is Magic Square's Trailbreaker. This is the KO of the Generation toy, Optimus Prime, which is my Optimus Prime. And then here we go with Ultra Magnus. Now, looking at it, it looks a bit like he is kind of big for that Ultra Magnus. And I know that they're making one, so, but I think that looks good enough, and I really think Magic Square looks good. I mean, the K oversize that McFans was going to make is going to be pretty good too. Just I didn't want to get that big. Here it is next to Huffer, and that's where I really say maybe I need to back it up and go with Magic Square's Huffer, and if they make it Gears, and those. So with that, I'm a little disappointed in the fact that I don't think they scale as well together, but on the flip side, I can kind of throw scale away when it comes to these. When it comes to some of the mini bots, maybe I'll just accept them being bigger when it comes to the fact that we're already dealing with Legends. And here he is next to some bad guys. And these are all the McFans Toys versions of Decepticons, including the Hulky upsize, the KO upsize of Hulky. I think he looks great. So anyway, this guy is really a pretty cool figure. I'm glad I got him. I'm glad he's in my collection. He's the only G1 that I think fits the bill other than the Iron Factory, and I don't think Iron Factory fits the bill to me. And so with this, there were a couple of QC issues with his leg that fell off, which I blame myself, but then again, that's kind of stuff shouldn't happen. And then I did have a problem where one of these seats that's put right in here, it fell off too. So I popped it right back on, it wasn't a big deal, just went about my day, but it's just something that was like a frustration, like, the leg fell off and that fell off. But I put it back in, you know, they're all holding just fine, so maybe I was just too rough with it. But anyway, like, subscribe, let me know what you think about this guy, let me know if there's another Hound that you think's better. Pedro Maker out.